My pleasure. My pleasure.
Just one thing I have to say that Nadia, the time did change from uh next week to this week, right? And I don't know if the calendar has changed on some of the board members.
Calendar. Oh, I think my team was supposed to change that. So let me
Yeah.
see. Yeah. I noticed that my team did. Well, there you have it. There you have it. Oh, brother. Okay.
So what's the story? What's the story? Is it next week?
Yes. No, it's not next week. It's this week. Because next week is Thanksgiving. Next week is Black Friday.
Mhm.
And yes, I did. It was an oversight, but there were people who did sign up for this week, but nonetheless, we are on live and we're going to be live streamed. So I usually start at the 5 minute after hour, after the 30 minutes. So I'll just begin and then we'll go from there and then see who jumps in and then see what questions there are. And I'll work with my team in the background to make sure we find the stragglers.
Okay,
So,
good morning, Nadia. I'm sorry, I just got okay. I'm using using my cell phone now. Okay.
okay, all right.
Good morning,
Awesome.
Chairman.
Good morning, Powell.
Good morning.
Great to see you.
Good morning.
Yes, you're not gonna see me, but good to be here.
I did. Your picture.
Oh yes.
Yes, your beautiful picture.
Yeah.
Good morning, Sabine. Thank you for being here. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick it off and get started. And I know we'll have some people trickle in, and that's just usually what happens with the Zoom. And so, Kevin, thanks again. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our November edition of Breakfast and Learn, which is our flagship program here at the Haitian American Chamber of Commerce of Florida, also known as HACOF. Our focus here for the Breakfast and Learn is to make sure that we bring you some amazing professionals who will be able to spend about an hour with you to teach you about their expertise, but then also talk about certain trends that are happening in the market that are pertinent to either your business or the business that you might work for, as well as bringing it to friends, family, and whomever you might deem is worthy of having this information. So I am absolutely thrilled that you're here and you're joining us for this insightful, enriching session. So before I begin today's program, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge our important guest, right? So we have our chairman, Mr. Princeton Jean-Claude here, our chairman of the board at HACOF, as well as our previous chairwoman, Paula Pierre. And then if I'm missing anyone else regarding, and if they're watching via live stream, thank you so much for joining us, and your presence is absolutely appreciated. And it's just I'm grateful for it, for your ongoing support. So at the Chamber, our mission is clear. We serve as an advocate for our community, acting as a valuable resource for our consumers and businesses. We are dedicated to meeting the needs of our members who are actively contributing to the economic development of the broader Haitian community, as well as its supporters. So our chamber does provide a myriad of community opportunities designed to help you grow your personal brand, expand your network, foster the growth of your business. So from basically our diverse membership options to our signature programs like Scale Up 305, which is our business incubator for early startup businesses who are looking to scale up. We have that. We have our mix and mingle, so opportunities for our members to network with one another, to gain friends, grow their businesses, and just mainly connect, right? As well as business summits and other opportunities to celebrate our members, celebrate our young professionals, celebrate our amazing professionals within our ecosystem. So as you can see, we do offer an initiative of tailored events for your every need. So before we proceed, I'd like the opportunity to share a brief biography of our distinguished speaker, Mr. Kevin Birch. So Kevin Birch is a dynamic and solutions-focused information technology executive, and he's accomplished in business development, customer engagement, application development, global delivery, and client success. His industry specialties include retail sales, marketing, financial services, Salesforce.com, data warehousing, talent enablement, workforce development, and consulting. Kevin approaches his work with a simple guiding principle: be civilized, social, collaborative, culturally aware, socially collaborative, culturally aware, community engaged, and most important, with integrity and respect. Originally from Birmingham, Alabama, Kevin serves on several boards and is an honors graduate of Florida A&M University, where he was a drum major in the famed Marching 100. He currently splits his time between Hollywood and Atlanta with his wife, Audra. So today, as I said, we are especially excited about this Breakfast and Learn. It's our last one of the year. But even more so of it being our last one of the year, I just really can't wait to dive into this conversation here with Kevin. So just a few housekeeping items before we begin. Make sure you mute your microphones as our speaker is here. And then also, please feel free to, when he does encourage you to unmute your microphones and speak up, please participate, because this is meant to be an engaging conversation, because the more you put into it is the more that you're going to get out of it. In addition, make sure you use the chat. So use the chat to share your information. We want to know who's in the room. Because even though we're on Zoom, there's still an opportunity to connect with one another, because you never know who's in here. You never know what you can gain. And then you can ask questions or answer back to maybe what Kevin might say in terms of interaction. And so I just want to share that here. So without further ado, Kevin, I will let you take it away. And thank you again so much.
Great. Thank you very much, Nadia. I really appreciate the introduction. I love the bio. That's ChatGPT working for you. So if you haven't used ChatGPT, that's an example of what you can do in terms of, I use it to really talk about my experience and my overall mission. So very much, thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you guys and really to talk about something that's very important for me, which is really around powering digital inclusion. I have over 30 years of experience in the IT space. I have a viewpoint of creating talent, hiring talent, mentoring talent, ranging from working for large enterprises, medium-sized enterprises, as well as consulting firms, as well as workforce development. So I'm super excited about this conversation. And the conversation is really going to I'm really going to talk in two different areas or two different personas. One is individuals that are interested in joining the tech ecosystem. So individuals that are looking to start careers in the technology space. And then I'll take a little bit of time and talk a little bit about small businesses and startups and how you can leverage technology to really optimize your businesses as well as scale them for success. So thank you for the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to, jumping right in. So let's start off and set, more or less kind of set the baseline here. Talking about tech, but I think the first question is tech still a good bet? Is tech still a good bet? I think many of us saw over the course of during the pandemic, many companies, previously we would go to, the retail stores, we would go to these brick and mortars, and that was really one of the ways that we would really engage businesses. I always banked in person. And I think during the pandemic, we found that we had to find a new way of really engaging businesses. And so there was really a big shift by organizations to really start driving what they call their digital transformations, or really trying to create more of a digital experience for their customers. And so what we saw was a lot of investments, from companies to build out their digital transformation, and a tremendous amount of money was spent. And so we're talking about 2020, 2021, and even getting into the beginning of 2022, we continue to see the trend where just companies were spending a lot of money, and there was just so many opportunities in the tech space. You pretty much, if you could spell tech, T-E-C-H, you can get a job in the tech space. Now, unfortunately, we started to begin to see a trend in 2022 where many companies maybe overspent, during the pandemic era, and they began to start pulling back on some of their investments. And so we started to see layoffs. We started to see layoffs from companies that we had never heard of, doing layoffs. Companies like Microsoft, Google, Salesforce.com. These are companies that pretty much, you could go there and have no problems in terms of, your career, your growth, et cetera. But we began to start seeing those layoffs, and those layoffs still continue today. Even though they have, tailored off a little bit, we're still seeing layoffs. In addition to that, companies have started to really look at how do they really optimize from the standpoint of a cost in terms of their businesses. So companies started doing things like, looking for opportunities offshore, looking for opportunities near shore to really provide their services at a lower cost. And, and so what that meant was that some of the jobs that we had here in the US started going away. So that was the other things, offshore and near shore investments. And then finally, I started seeing a big trend with companies saying, hey, listen, we have these opportunities, but we're running into an issue with skills gaps. And what I mean by skills gaps, companies were saying that we have these jobs, we can't find the right people. The individuals that we're hiring don't necessarily have the skills. So there began to be a challenge around skills gaps. So, when you look at these things, you can say, well, is it really a lot of challenges within this technology space? Companies are still laying off, companies are doing offshore, near shore, companies are complaining about not really being able to find the type of talent necessary to work with their companies. I say it's still a good bet. Absolutely, it's still a good bet. You look at this phone, most companies are looking for ways to engage their customers through the phone. I will say that I do all my shopping on my telephone. I do all my banking on my telephone. I do a lot of my collaborating with friends, associates on my telephone, and companies recognize that. So companies are still investing in their digital capabilities, which means that there still is an opportunity to do work in this digital space. And then obviously, AI. You cannot go a day without hearing about, generative AI and what is it doing? As I mentioned before, I use ChatGPT to even write my bio, right? So AI is really, really very important. And most of the executives and leaders at these organizations are looking for ways, how can they leverage artificial intelligence and machine learning to really drive good experiences within their products and services. So AI is huge, and there are huge investments happening there. And then what's even more interesting, living here in South Florida, Miami is now becoming a tech hub. We all know about Silicon Valley. We all know about the big cities, New York, Atlanta in the South has been an area where there's been a tremendous amount of growth in the technology space. Dallas, Austin, Texas, great growth there. But Miami has now emerged as being one of the top regions for jobs, for technology. We have a lot of startups here. We have a lot of companies here. If you even go to a Miami Heat game, the Kaseya Center is a technology company. And in fact, Kaseya is looking to hire over 3,400 individuals locally over the course of the next few years. So Miami has now emerged to be one of the tech hubs in the area. And just to kind of double click a little bit about what's happening in the Miami space, the Beacon Council recently had a report that said that this year alone, 51 new companies, 51 have either moved to Miami or have expanded their operations in the Miami area. That's huge. 51 companies, and they're expecting about 14,000 new jobs due to all of these companies moving here. And we're just talking about in 1 year. Now, what's interesting is of these 51 companies, or more than half of those companies are either tech companies or tech related, which means that they're tech jobs with these different companies, okay? And I think one of the things that's so beautiful about this is that companies are now coming here. And if you've watched the news, Mr. Jeff Bezos, who's the founder of Amazon, who's also a South Florida native, is actually moving back to South Florida. That's going to have an impact in terms of the overall perspective around South Florida, the overall perspective about Miami as it relates to tech, because obviously Jeff is going to come here. Obviously, he has family here, but he's going to come here, and other companies, other leaders are going to come here as well. So Miami has really, really emerged as a true tech hub, and companies and jobs are coming along with it. Now, Miami Tech Talent Coalition, The Miami Tech Talent Coalition is a coalition of government officials for the city of Miami, local colleges, boot camps, community groups, and companies. And the purpose of the Miami Tech Talent Coalition is to try to ensure that the companies that are here, the companies that have moved here, the companies that are moving here, that say, listen, I really, really want to hire locally. I really want to hire the talent locally, is to create an ecosystem so that those companies can provide the job descriptions, the things that they're looking for in terms of the talent that they want to hire, to the local universities, to the local boot camps and the different groups, so that those universities, those boot camps can create the skills in the people that live here, so that those individuals will be able to work at these companies. Miami-Dade College, as part of its Tech Talent Coalition, won a grant. It was the Good Jobs Grant from the Department of Labor of $10 million to really help facilitate this. And I actually am participating in the Miami Tech Talent Coalition. In fact, I'm part of what we call the Emerging Talent Work Group. And our responsibility is to ensure that we provide the guidance to companies and the universities around what's needed for entry-level people, so that those entry-level people can get jobs working at these companies. So this is a significant investment. It's a collaboration between, the business community, the government, and the learning community, which is huge. And so I think with this investment, as well as this collaboration, we're going to see great things happening in the Miami area. Now, one of the things about the Tech Talent Coalition in terms of priorities is, let's make sure that the individuals that are getting jobs, the individuals that are going into the job force, that we don't leave out Black and brown. And you're going to find that with a lot of coalitions and initiatives like this, to ensure that Black and brown individuals are not left out. Now, we all know that in this community, particularly in Miami, brown is a majority of the individuals. And I would expect that our sisters and brothers from the Latin Americas are going to be taken care of, because that group is such a large number. But what are we going to do to ensure that individuals from the Black community, and even more so, since we're talking about the Chamber of Commerce here for Haitian Americans in Florida, what are we doing to ensure that the Haitian American and citizens are not left out as well? And so that's one of the things that I've been working on. I've been working with different groups to ensure that, we try to put together initiatives to go to the citizens, to ensure that our citizens can also be included in this big lift. And it's very, very important. So where are the opportunities? Now, this is really largely about entry level. So when I look at myself, so as Nadia explained, I'm a graduate of Florida A&M University. So I did the traditional route. I went to Florida A&M. I got a 4-year degree in computer information systems. And I was one of the fortunate ones. Even before I graduated, I had 4 job offers. So I literally could stop interviewing because I already knew where I was going to work while I was still in school. And that's proven very helpful for me in terms of my career. But one of the beautiful things about where we are right now is individuals can actually join the technology space in certain areas without necessarily having to have college degrees. And so what I have listed here are 4 of the top type of jobs in the technology space where individuals can start their tech careers. So software engineers, and essentially software engineers are individuals that work with like Java, .NET, building out software solutions for businesses and organizations. Cybersecurity, as long as you're creating a technology solution, things to do, there's always going to be a criminal. There's always going to be someone trying to figure out, how do I breach this thing? So cybersecurity is extremely important because companies want to really harden their environments to ensure that the bad guys don't get in. Data analysts, and what a data analyst is an individual who works with, large volumes of data to help create data points so businesses and organizations can make decisions. So when you hear about things like artificial intelligence, AI, machine learning, all of those things really fall under the data analyst area. And then finally, low code, no code. And what low code, no code is literally, I learned how to do coding, hardcore, coding. So software engineers, I think, more hardcore developing. Low code, no code is something where you literally do point and click. You can literally create an application without even understanding how to do development and coding. So there's technologies like Pegasystems or Salesforce.com, which are low code, no code type of technologies where you can build technology solutions and provide value to businesses. So what I'm showing you here are 4 different areas within IT that are large opportunities for individuals to join and to start their careers and to be very, very successful. So I think that's super exciting. But there's one problem. The problem that we find is that many companies, they're going to say, yes, you have the degree, you have the training, you've gone to a boot camp, you have a great resume, you're very smart, but do you have relevant experience? Do you have relevant experience? And over the course of the last few years, I've been seeing this as something that companies look for. Now, to compound this problem, as many individuals had lost their jobs over the course of the last years, we're talking about individuals that have had experience. Those individuals are now trying to get back into the job market. And as a new person with skills that I mentioned earlier, you're having to compete with these individuals to get a job. So that's a problem. But there is, in fact, a solution. And the solution that I say is talent enablement through strategic partnerships. Talent enablement through strategic partnerships. Now, there is an organization called 110. 110 is a coalition of about 60 companies. We're talking about JP Morgan, companies like Home Depot, companies like Bank of America, companies like Cisco Systems, many of the large companies in the United States. And the mission of 110 is to create jobs and to hire 1 million Black people. 1 million Black people into jobs that are family sustaining, meaning that a job where an individual can pay their mortgage, they can pay for their car, they can go on a family vacation, they can pay towards their kids going to college, family sustaining jobs. And here's the catch. They don't have to have a college degree. So what they're saying is, so this coalition of 60 companies are saying, hey, listen, we want to create opportunities for Black people. And we understand that sometimes, going to a 4-year college is a barrier to getting into certain companies. We're going to create opportunities and jobs for individuals to join our organizations, get family sustaining jobs, and they don't have to have a college degree. So that is huge. So 110 is one of the big partners in terms of creating those pathways. Cisco Systems. I think we all remember that horrible moment when we saw George Floyd and what happened with George Floyd. One of the outcomes of the George Floyd tragedy was that lots of companies said, oh, wow, I cannot believe these things are happening to Black Americans. And many of those companies took a self-assessment and felt that there's more that they could do. There's more that they could do to really, try to provide some type of opportunities for Black Americans. So companies started they would make these statements, they would make these investments, we're going to hire more Black people, et cetera, et cetera. Now, that was several years ago, and we're beginning to see that some of the companies are now starting to pull back on some of their DE&I initiatives. Cisco Systems, the way that they responded to the George Floyd event, they created a mission, an initiative called the Social Justice Program. It's about a 10-point social justice program. And what this means is they decided that we're going to do more to hire more Black people into Cisco, but not just into Cisco partners. So companies that sell Cisco products, companies that provide Cisco solutions, we're going to do more to get more Black people hired there. We're going to do more for Black people that are working at Cisco to create opportunities for individuals to grow in their career. We're going to create more opportunities for Black Americans at Cisco to become executives. In fact, Cisco just hired a senior executive in their C-suite last week that's going to be over their global sales. And they're very, very serious about this. In addition to that, Cisco says, listen, we want to get more Black small businesses and create more pathways for these Black small businesses that are selling network and cybersecurity solutions to be successful. We're going to help, we're going to provide mentorship. We're going to connect them with some of the larger Cisco partners to create ways so these companies can really become very, very successful. Cisco is so serious about this that they've invested $300 million into this social justice program. That's how very serious about it. And part of what they're doing is, again, creating pathways for individuals to start their careers at Cisco without having the experience. Salesforce.com, for generations, Salesforce has always leaned in on underrepresented groups, and they have programs that they do that are free programs for individuals to be able to create opportunities for themselves to join the Salesforce ecosystem. That's mean working at Salesforce or working at any other company that provides Salesforce solutions. And what you'll find is many of the businesses that you engage, either banks, retail stores, behind the scenes, a lot of these organizations are using Salesforce as their customer relationship solution. So Salesforce.com also creates opportunities for individuals to come from underrepresented groups to start their careers. And then the same thing with AWS, Amazon Web Services. They provide boot camps, they provide opportunities for individuals to learn their cloud technology solutions and to be able to start their careers. But what I wanted to spend a little bit more time around is apprenticeships, because apprenticeships provides two very, very good things. One, individuals, it provides for them an opportunity to get a job and to learn on the job the skills to be able to work at certain companies. It provides wraparound services that will ensure that those individuals have the support that they will be able to be effective in this job. But then in addition to those individuals, for companies that are looking to hire individuals to work at those companies, it provides a way for them to hire individuals at a lower cost, where they will be able to get support from an OIC or a career source to be able to bring individuals into their organizations. This is the perfect marriage for that problem of getting relevant experience, where individuals can start a career, learn on the job, be in an environment where there is a support around them to ensure that they're successful. And then over the course of a year, they can be hired and become parts of that organization. So apprenticeships is one of the areas that I think that provides the right level of support and infrastructure, even with the different universities. So Broward College, Miami-Dade College, they have programs to support apprenticeship programs so that individuals can start their careers in this particular space. And so let's talk about, the persona of who is the type of individual, again, that could start their careers this way. Now, I'm a little different because, again, I went and got a 4-year college degree at Florida A&M. I'm talking about an individual who doesn't necessarily have that type of background. So who are individuals that would be perfect for something like this? Someone who's just curious, someone who wants to understand technology, someone who has a lot of initiative, just kind of like get their hands out there and start working with things. Individuals that work very, very well with teams, individuals that can adapt, individuals that can take a phone. Think about it. Individuals that can take a phone and can go and download different apps and create all types of capabilities on their telephone, right? Think about an individual who, they can connect their stereo system to a television set, connect the stereo system to a game, to one of those game playing stations, being able to do that wirelessly, being able to do that with wires. We know many individuals like this. It's essentially that person that's curious about technology and solving problems is the perfect individual that can be able to go and start their career in the technology space. All right. So I want to take a couple of minutes and I'll answer 3 questions. And so, Nadia, if you can help me here, if you have a question, I'd love to answer questions specifically related to individuals starting their careers, jumping into the technology space. So do we have the questions?
Perfect. Yes, we do have the hand raised. So Sabine, you can go ahead and unmute your mic and speak up.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sabine DeSource. I'm the owner of DeSource Therapeutic Touch. I'm a licensed massage therapist. I just wanted to know if he could go back that last slide where he talked about the persona that he was looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Thank you. And I'm so thankful for this program because I know a lot of young people who can benefit from this.
Yes. And Sabine, what's even interesting is we have to do some marketing and branding. We have to let individuals know that technology is interesting. I've seen things like someone says technology is the new black. There's a gentleman by the name of Ted Lucas, who is a who was an entrepreneur. He started a rap record label called Slip and Slide. So some of the big rap artists that we know of started their careers with him. Mr. Ted Lucas is focused on creating opportunities for individuals just like this through his company. His company is called Technology, so that they can start their careers. In fact, he actually created a lab at Florida Memorial University. So these individuals out there need to know that the opportunity to get into tech, it's not that difficult. It's just a matter of taking that initiative and asking the question, and we can help everyone. So thank you, Sabine.
Yes, thank you, Sabine. And so that is really truly our intention here for bringing Kevin in to speak and have these conversations so that we can continue to connect with one another to ensure these things are happening. So are there any other questions?
Yes, actually, I had a question. So I was wondering, for people who maybe like from a lot of communities, some people may think that getting into tech is like impossible if learning coding is impossible or things of that nature. Would you have any suggestions to those who feel discouraged just because of like the barrier of entry, that coding and the stigma of having to be like overly tech savvy?
Yeah, so
Advice
that's
for
a
those
great
who be very-
yeah, that's a great question. And who asked the question again?
Oh,
I didn't-
Peterson Simon, I'm part of the staff.
Oh, okay. I didn't see your name.
There.
It's funny you mentioned that. So here I am. I have over 30 years of experience in technology, and finished college with honors. And I'll tell you, what's interesting is I've never been an individual that liked to do a lot of coding. Technology is really just it's really the tool to create a solution for a business problem, right? So I think that we have to smash the myth. It's really around, what is it that a person needs? What is it that a business needs to solve a problem or to create value? And technology being that thing. I will tell you, it's just a matter of taking that step. And I'm going to give you some information later in terms of different types of boot camps for individuals that have no background whatsoever. So for example, Cisco Systems, I'm actually going to be standing up a boot camp for Cisco Network Academy. And one of the very, very first things is English for tech, or just the basics, getting into just the more foundational things. And once you begin to get that perspective around technology as a solution to solve a business problem, to answer a question, to create value, then it's just a matter of the tools. Remember, I mentioned about the no code, low code. You could literally build an application on the phone here through that no code and low code. It's just a matter of taking that step and having the courage to do it. It is not difficult. It's not complicated. Having that curiosity is important, and just locking in on, what do I need to do to understand, to solve this problem, or to get an understanding of it. Individuals that love math, obviously individuals that love math are superstars in the technology space, but you don't necessarily have to have that background. Okay. A great question.
That's a big question. This is why we're having these conversations. And I believe there's another question from Nayed, yes?
Yes, it was a very edifying presentation. Thank you so much. I have a question. I know that we want to encourage our community to go and more in tech, but what what is available for now so we can channel our kids into tech? Since I feel like when they are kids, they have access to technology or to program that can give them, this curiosity. That could be something interesting. Do you have any program in mind that could be good for kids?
So I think the first program is this breakfast, right? I think you go getting introduced. So is it Nayed?
Yes, it's Nayed.
Okay, so Nayed, so you're meeting me today. So I'm Kevin. Nice to meet you, Nayed. And through Be Civilized Solutions, I have relationships where, we can actually go into college, go into school. So Black Men in Tech is a local organization founded by a gentleman by the name of Cam Ward. He's a local guy, and it's a nonprofit. And literally, we go to different elementary schools and high schools and talk about tech. And really, it's interesting because one of the things that we have to do, Nayed, is, and I actually have a T-shirt. I can't walk over and get it, but our kids, they see athletes, they see rappers. That's the path that they see to these careers. But now technology is that new thing, right? So that it's something that's easy to accomplish, just a matter of doing it. You don't have to run fast. You don't have to know music and know how to create rhymes. It's just a matter of the discipline around learning this new technology, whatever that technology may be, and applying that to whatever that business problem is. And so I'm going to give you some more information where you can connect with me at Be Civilized Solutions, and I could, provide any type of support for individuals, students as well that want to learn tech or just get familiar with it. Because part of it is that curiosity. It's really around, hey, they're already doing it. And I pick up this phone all the time because it's literally as simple as this. They're already doing it. As soon as they go and download an app, as soon as they go and start using an app, they're using tech, they're creating that. So they're already doing it. It's just a matter of getting them to understand that you can take this a little further and you can actually start building things. So now, I know one of the things that Ted Lucas talks about is gaming, using gaming as an introduction to those conversations with young people, because they know about gaming, they understand it. And it's like, guess what? You can go behind the curtain and you can be part of creating solutions or creating those gaming technology things. So yeah, great question.
It's funny that you say that, because in terms of, I was just talking to a friend in terms of gaming, where her daughter is interested in animation from that side, because she enjoys how things work when things are moving in gaming. So we have a question in the chat really quick before you get started back from Dr. Jude.
And before you ask that question, I want to just make one general comment. The most important thing about tech is not to be afraid of it. Do not be afraid of it. It's much easier than you think. It's just a matter of just taking a step, just paying attention and really trying to understand it. Something may not initially click, but if you just stick with it, you'll definitely get it. So you can't be afraid of it. It's easy to learn. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So what you're saying in a nutshell is consistency.
Yes, ma'am.
Just try one foot in front of the other.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
Then Dr. Jude's asking, what's the time commitment to someone who's curious about getting into tech? What do you feel like that initial time commitment might be to have that, I guess, feeling of breakthrough that you mentioned?
So it really depends. There are boot camps that are anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks, where an individual can go from knowing nothing about a particular technology, and then they can learn. Those are pretty aggressive. There are programs that may be months as well. For example, my firm, Be Civilized Solutions, I do a Salesforce upskilling, but my focus specifically with that is really around individuals that have some technology experience and converting them over to become Salesforce. That's 4 weeks. But you can teach someone, something like a Salesforce.com in a matter of 8 weeks. So let's say 2 to 3 months, but no problem, right? I think the most important thing is there are entry level or entry points where you can start off, and I'll give you some more information about that shortly. But that's, I think, the most important thing is the entry level where you can just at least start off and getting some general understanding about a particular thing. So general understanding about cloud computing, and then that will lead to a little bit more, or general understanding about networking. Then that can lead to networking security, and then cybersecurity. It's just a matter, as you clearly stated a second ago, one step at a time. Just put one foot in front of the other. But typically, you're looking at a minimum, I would say, of 2 to 3 months at a minimum if you want to really begin to get some general understanding of things. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So I know you only said 3 questions, but now we're hitting number 5.
Hey, listen, we're family. Let's go.
All right, awesome. So I see Olivier has a question. So Olivier, if you want to unmute your mic, you can ask your question.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I have a question. So as I look at the news, usually I see the first types of jobs that get laid off are usually tech jobs. So I wanted to know from your opinion as a professional, how true is that? And also, as we look ahead, as they talk about, AI technologies and industries being wiped out, like, workforce, how secure is, the technology jobs as we look ahead, 10 years, 20 years down the line?
So So the first question, first of all, great. Is it Olivier or Olivier? Okay.
Yes, Olivier.
The first question around the first jobs usually being tech jobs. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think what's happened over the course of the last few years, when the pandemic hit, companies really reacted in such a way that they wanted to still be able to sell their products and services to you and me. And they realized that we weren't going into those stores anymore because we were afraid of this terrible thing called COVID-19. And so companies, everyone started focusing on what I call their digital transformation. Some companies already had it in place and others did. So they were throwing lots of money. In fact, I mean, I think Salesforce as a company, because I've worked very closely with them, had maybe like 40,000 employees pre-pandemic. I think, I remember hearing this number, that the number may have gone up to like 80,000 post-pandemic. What happened was companies overhired. They just overhired. And like I said, if you could spell tech, you could get a job in tech during this period. And so what you saw was, for lack of a better word, a correction. You know, companies, they overhired, and then all of a sudden they went back. So, okay, great, we got to cut back. You know, we need to focus on other areas of the business. We've spent as much as we're going to spend around this. And then you started seeing layoffs. Remember what I said earlier, you know, digital transformation is still happening. Companies are looking for ways. If you think about it, Olivier, how do you normally engage? How do you normally engage a company? I mean, I was at a church in Alabama. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. And I was at church in Alabama 3 weeks ago. And when it was time for tithe and offering, they put up a QR code on the screen. They put, one of my dearest friends, Pastor Wayne Lomax, about 8 years ago, he's a minister down here. He told me about, Kevin, as churches, we need to start looking at, digital transformation. The individuals that go into our church, they want to engage with us the same way that they engage with everyone else. And the point I'm making here, Olivier, is that companies are going to continue to do that. There's going to continue to be a focus around technology. So companies are going to continue to get hired. Now, AI, I'm glad you brought that up because it scares a lot of us, right? People think, well, AI, what is this ChatGPT thing? What is this AI thing? Is it going to replace jobs? Certainly, it's going to streamline processes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Is it going to change? Is it going to eliminate some jobs? Certainly, it's going to eliminate some jobs, but it's also going to create other jobs, right? So the individuals that are working, that's building these AI solutions, that are identifying these use cases, those are new jobs. We're in the process now of trying to figure out what that means. AI is the new sexy, thing that everyone's looking at, but we still don't have it figured out yet. So I believe it's creating more opportunities. Technology is never going to go away, and I'll share some more information about that in a few minutes. It's really about, and as I mentioned earlier, solving a business problem, creating value, creating ways to engage. Those things are going to continue to be happening on a technology basis. I mean, I use my watch here. My watch, there's so much technology in my watch, and I have nice watches at home, Olivier. I got some really nice watches, but this watch here allows me to check my blood pressure. This watch here tells me that I got to stand up from this desk and walk around, because if I don't, I sit here, I may get blood clots, right? So technology is definitely here to stay, in my humble opinion. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Awesome. So amazing. I will allow you to continue your presentation, and then we'll hopefully open the floor a little bit more for additional questions that may come out of what you have to say.
Thank you. And by the way, great questions, and thank you very much. So now I'm going to shift a little bit. So we've talked about individuals, joining the technology space. So this is about individuals getting to the entry-level jobs. Now I want to talk, and I'm only just going to talk about this a little bit, and this kind of alludes to some of the questions that popped up. Some of the emerging markets, and what I mean by that is technology. And let me just take a step. This is more so around if you have a business, or if you're thinking about starting a business, or if you're just looking for ways that I can engage tech differently than I've been engaging tech before. This is really that conversation. So Emerging markets. In the past, we've seen technology has largely been used at, retail stores, right? So years ago, I used to work at Office Depot Corporation, and I worked in the data warehousing and the digital space, and creating technologies for our customers that were coming into the Office Depot stores, creating solutions for customers that were using their phones or using their laptops to buy from us. Creating technologies for the different parts of the business operationally to be efficient. So retail stores, you saw technology, banks, right? Engage with banks, technology is being used there. Entertainment, obviously. But there are some other areas that are now beginning to grow where there are opportunities in tech. So for example, climate tech. Climate tech is huge. Climate tech is one of those new things. There's a company just moved here. They're actually in Boca Raton called Blue Frontier, and they have technology around HVAC systems, right? They're doing things basically to ensure that the HVAC systems are gentle to the climate. If you think about, the Biden administration or some of the, more so you find this more so with some of the, Democratic administrations, there's a huge focus around the climate. We all know, so like today, I look out my window, it's beautiful and it's blue. I can see blue sky. But over the last few days, we had rain, we had floods, right? It was difficult getting around. Climate change is really happening. So opportunities to create technology solutions to respond to climate change, huge thing happening. Prop tech, and what I mean by prop tech, property tech. Solutions around, if you look, you go outside, you walk down to Miami, downtown here in Hollywood, downtown Fort Lauderdale, buildings are going up, condos are going up, apartments are going up. There is always building. And there are the businesses that are doing this, the leases, the management companies, the tenants. There are solutions around that whole ecosystem of property that companies are building. So Bungalow is a company that recently moved to Miami, and they build out solutions around property tech, opportunities for individuals trying to get things involved. Health tech. I mentioned my watch, right? So everything I want is right here for me. And I think for many of us, post-COVID, we got really serious about our health, right? I think I'm very serious about my health. So that's an area where if you can create solutions and technology to solve problems around health or streamline processes in that space, that's another opportunity. And there's a company called Rook. Rook actually creates wearables. So this is a wearable, necklace could be a wearable, ring could be a wearable, technology around that. So these are markets that we're seeing a lot of growth. And in Miami, and Miami is one of those kind of sexy towns where you get a lot of venture capitalists, you get a lot of people moving here to try to start things. So we're getting individuals coming from New York, we're getting individuals coming here from Silicon Valley. In fact, Jeff Bezos, being here, coming from Silicon Valley is going to bring a lot of that type of mindset. And the way that these individuals and these companies function out in some of these other areas, they're going to bring some of that same mindset into our space as well. And then the final thing is EVSC. And I'll just, EVSC, I'll tell you a little bit about this. So if you look at the screen, there's several logos here. Rivian, City Sitter, Seattle City Light, Recharge, Tesla, Duke Energy. What these logos represent are companies that utilize charging stations for their vehicles. Tesla is that company is, you look around everywhere I look. When I'm in Atlanta, I see Teslas everywhere. This group of companies, they're all customers for a company called Charger Help. Charger Help. Charger Help is in the electric vehicle supply equipment business. Okay? So Gavin Newsom, who's the governor of California, he said by 2035, he expects that they will not be selling brand new cars in California unless they're electric vehicles. Now, 2035 is just over 10 years from now. He's saying that any new car sold in California will be an electric vehicle. So I want you to think about that for a minute. Now, whether or not you believe it's true or not, everywhere I look, I see electric vehicles. And those electric vehicles need to have charging stations. I lost a car here. The flood that happened in April. I had a beautiful sports car. I'm still sad to this day. It was flooded right in front of my house, and so I had to go get a rental car. And I got a Tesla. So for a month, I was driving around on a Tesla, and I'm going to charging stations all over the place to keep my car charged. And it was really interesting just to see all the people come in with their Teslas, and they put the charge, and they walk out, maybe go get some coffee and come back. It was just like a whole culture of this stuff. And I just noticed, like, man, there's a lot of people, getting their cars charged. And so imagine if 10 years from now, most cars on the road are electric vehicles. That means all these gas stations we see around here, there should be as many electric charging stations as well, right? So companies like Charger Help, they've recognized that. And so they are providing technicians to go to those charging stations, because guess what? A charging station can break, right? And so there is now a new ecosystem around the electronic vehicle piece, where technicians are getting certified and trained on electric vehicle equipment, and they're able to go and charge these and fix these charging stations. So just imagine, if you look around, you see all these gas stations around here. Think about 10 years from now. Think about 20 years from now. Many of those are going to be charging stations. I don't know what the configuration would look like, but I do know in April, when I had that Tesla, I was going to charging stations every couple of days, and it's going to continue to grow. So that's another area. The EVSE technician space is another area that companies are really growing. And the irony is, I have seen Black people are really, at the front of the line. I've seen companies, some of these companies that are, really doing these things, Black women are stepping up. So the opportunities for this new area of opportunity for technology is expanding, and our people are showing up. So EVSE is huge. Now, let's talk about, and I've made mention earlier about Salesforce. So for small businesses and startups, in many instances, you're dealing with customers, right? You're trying to get new customers. You have customer support issues and things, so you have to engage your customers around that customer support. You want to market and have communications to your customers. You may have a spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet written down, how all the customers and the status of them, et cetera. There are better ways to optimize your business. And Salesforce.com is the largest CRM in the world. They provide systems to most of the companies that we know and hear about around how those companies engage their customers, their customer relationship technology, how they engage, for support services. So when there's a problem, customer support, marketing automation, how they get commerce, how they get money from their customers, how they exchange money with vendors and partners. They provide these solutions for multinational companies, but they also provide these type of solutions for small businesses as well. In fact, Salesforce technology is perfect for small business, because you're able to create a cloud solution platform that will enable you to run your business that's very predictable, and it has the same type of effectiveness as a large business. So as a small business, as a startup, I think it's certainly a good idea, if you're looking to really try to optimize the way that your business is working, and even position you in such a way that you want to scale to do something else, looking at a company like a Salesforce.com, because they actually have solutions for small businesses to be able to do that. Similarly, Cisco Systems, for companies that are technology companies, or companies where you have individuals that are working in your company that are working remote or virtually, Cisco Systems can provide a very hardened solution around your network, your networking, your collaboration tools, and most important, your cybersecurity, right? Because again, as I mentioned earlier to Olivier, companies are going to continue to build out their digital technology. They're going to continue to build out ways to deliver things from a digital perspective. You need to be able to protect your assets. You need to be able to protect your customers. You need to be able to protect yourself from all those challenges that are out there. So as you're looking at your business, and as you're looking at, what do I need to do to truly, again, it's about optimizing. It's really about putting the right type of infrastructure in place so that you can scale. Definitely consider an organization like Cisco Systems as well. And so, because these are the type of organizations that can help you really make the most out of your business. And so, how do we get started? So I think this is probably one of the most important slides. We talked earlier about individuals that are trying to start their careers, right? So things like Salesforce Trailhead Academy, Cisco Network Academy, AWS Academy. These are ways that individuals can, at a very low cost to free, be able to start off getting information and learning in technology. And again, I mentioned those because these are organizations that are very, very much tailored towards helping individuals from underrepresented groups who know very, very little about these things to be able to thrive in those spaces. Charger Help as well. They have a workforce development program. And then, as I mentioned before, both Salesforce and Cisco Systems provide solutions for small businesses so that you can have the same functionality, so that you can have the same effectiveness as some of these multinational brands and organizations that we love dearly. And then at the end of the day, Be Civilized Solutions, I'm here. I actually have relationships with Salesforce, Cisco, and AWS, and can provide support to help you to really scale your business, provide support to help individuals to really start their careers in the ecosystem. And I have a very vast network of individuals that I work with, as well as I know, and obviously I will provide mentorship as well. So that's, I think, very important in terms of how you get started. And so right here, if you use your phone, again, we're talking technology, you can actually click on this. It will provide all my contact information, the information about Be Civilized Solutions. You can get in contact with Be Civilized Solutions, as well as my website and email. So this is a way that you can contact me for any additional questions that you may have. Okay? Now, before we leave, I've been drinking my tea. I want to have coffee. I would be remiss if I didn't offer something. So recently I had the pleasure to go to a magnificent coffee shop. It's a family-owned coffee shop in Hollywood called K Rico. They have incredible coffee, juices, teas, sandwiches, pastries, and I'd like to offer 2 gift cards for individuals on this call for $25 so that they can go to K Rico and enjoy some of the great stuff that they have there. So that's my gift. And so I'd like to do that. So Nadia, can you help me here? You come on.
Okay.
So here's what I'm going to do.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It's amazing.
How many individuals we have on, and what I want to do is I want you to think of a number. I have a number in my mind between 1 and 100. And the 2 individuals that come closest to that number will get a gift card to go to this incredible coffee shop. Okay. So all you got to do is put your number in the chat. And so if you can just help me, find out where everyone's done theirs, and I'll give you what the number is. So let's go with it. All right. Start whenever you're ready.
We did have somebody with a question. I wonder if he's still here. Yes. So Jacoby Green had a question. Jacoby, if you want to unmute your mic and ask the question while we're getting the numbers.
Oh, absolutely. So thanks for letting me come up. I just wanted to say I got your point about the car charging industry. That one of the things I try to do is just pay attention to the trends and stuff like that. I would love to hear your input on with the current administration and the election coming up with the Republicans, having a viable chance to come back into office. It's a possibility that they'll bring a hacksaw to all the environmental policy that Biden had been trying to push, and trying to, bring everything back to gas and natural energy and make sure that he stall any kind of plans that industry could possibly have, but my question is like, I've been thinking about an idea that I had, but I've been pretty stagnant because I haven't been able to properly vet the idea. to really see if it's has market potential or whatnot. So, with the opportunity that we have, coming, in the near future because of the advances in technology that we have, do you have any advice on how to really gauge an idea and really, see if if it's viable for the future or not, so that you won't be just creating a solution to a problem that you came up with in your mind? Can you speak to that?
No, that's a great question. That's a fantastic question. So the first one, administrations. When you think about, climate control, I mean, there are individuals that don't believe it, and there are individuals that do believe it, right? There's no question about that. And certainly some administrations have a point of view that's different from others. I think when you have typically when you have a Democratic administration, because many of the constituents of Democrats are, they really are into climate control. Certainly, Democrats listen loudly or listen to these individuals and really try to put policies in place. And the opposite, when you have the Republicans, and I'm not criticizing either. Many of their constituents are in Texas, right? Big oil, right? And they can give a darn about what Newsom says in California, because people in California, for the people in Texas, they don't have a clue. Yes, no question. However, at the end of the day, follow the money. Follow the money. Where's the money going? What are people buying? And I mentioned Tesla. I used to have a Porsche. I had a 911. I love my car. I couldn't stand Teslas. So Tesla is one of those environmentally friendly companies, right? One of the biggest voices in the conservative circles, let me restate that. One of the superstars in the conservative circles is Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk, he's Tesla. So if it's money to be made, do you think that lobbies, do you think that the guys in Washington, they're gonna put Elon Musk out of business? Absolutely not. And if there's money to be made, at the end of the day, regardless of the administration, they're gonna go where the money is, right? They're gonna go where the money is. As consumers, if there is a shift of consumers towards certain things, green products, that's where they're gonna go. Because remember, who pays for these individuals to get elected? Their constituents. So for me, I think having an idea of where the trends are from a consumer perspective, I think really gives you a good view of where things are going to go, regardless of what the administration is. I mean, certainly we're in a different time than we used to be in the past, where, things, some of these administrations, they pivot really far right, and some may say, oh, let's pivot far left. But at the end of the day, the money is one thing that never changes, right? So follow the money. Now, in terms of your idea, what I will suggest is this. I find that, connecting with like-minded individuals, and this is something that you can easily do. So you have an idea about something, and it's in a particular, and don't share it on the call, but it's a particular solution, or it's a particular problem you're trying to solve in a particular industry. Start Googling and finding out where can I get information about this particular thing, and then double click where there may be groups where individuals may meet or talk about where can I get more information. And then what you find is you kind of embed yourself into that ecosystem where these conversations are happening, and you begin to get more information. Then data is important. So I mentioned earlier about the data analytics piece. Data is important. Then you start looking at, where, who is going to be buying it, right? Who are the people that's going to be buying this thing? Okay, what do those people look like? Where do they live? How much money do they have? Are they willing to buy and pay for this thing that I believe they're going to need? Because guess what? If the customer doesn't exist, that's one thing. If the customer that exists don't have money, you and I are going to be able to sell it, right? So what you got to do is you got to embed yourself into that. And I call it ecosystem. I use ecosystem a lot because it's basically embedding yourself into the ecosystem around whatever it's want to do. I'll give an example of me. One of the things that I wanted to do this year was to really embed myself to really have more impact, for people that look like me and that may look like you, right? But we're local. And so what I decided to do, I just, okay, great, let me find out what's happening. And I just started just asking people, oh, guess what? This group here, they exist, and hey, here's what they're doing. And then I went and got engaged. And then you start hearing about other things. Okay, let me go and find out about this group. There's a person, let me go find out this person. And then what starts to happen is your ecosystem starts to form. It starts to form because you've put yourself in an environment where these are things you're interested in, and it happens to be other people that are interested in that same thing or in that environment. And then you meet other people, and then that's how it forms. And then all along, you're just collecting information, you're writing notes down, you're connecting, and you're not giving your idea away, but you're just basically building on it and getting more data points, getting more understanding around what is happening that's going to help you to be able to deliver what it is that you're trying to create. That's what you have to do. But it's not difficult. It's not difficult at all, but you got to step out there. Nadia said it earlier, one step at a time, just step out there. Hey, here's something that I'm interested in. I'm interested in X. You know, for me, it was about talent enablement. It was about creating a pathway for individuals to get into the technology space. Now, how that's going to happen, I don't know, but I'm just going to put myself out there. And then all of a sudden I start attracting individuals that are doing the same type of thing. And then we start collaborating. The reason that you're meeting me now is because that's the same thing happened with me and Nadia. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
It's true. That, and even you see that coffee on the screen, K-Rico.
Oh yeah, exactly. And it's some of the best coffee that you can have. All right.
So I mean, that is the power of networking. That's the power of connecting with others. It's the power of just jumping out. And that's why we facilitate these programs.
Yes. So how are we looking on the numbers? Do we have the numbers?
So I have about 12 numbers in. And so I will allow 1 more minute for somebody who wants to, not even 1 minute, a couple seconds really, for anyone who wants to put their hat in the ring. And then you can say what the number is, and then we can determine.
Okay. So just let me know when you're closing it down.
All right. All right. I think Sabine maybe had a question, but
yes. Hey, Sabine.
It was more of a comment, but you pretty much answered it to the gentleman.
Yes, ma'am.
I call what you just said curiosity questions. So whoever his audience is, once he knows the problem that he's trying to solve, actually going into that community and asking them questions about that problem, not telling them what he's going to do, but to see if his assumptions are validated by the people.
Well said. Perfectly said.
Thank you.
That's it. Forget what I said. Go what Sabine said.
You said exactly what I just said.
She said it well.
Yeah,
all right.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. This has been so amazing and transformative. So, okay.
How we doing? We good?
Yeah, I think I gave everybody an opportunity. I actually did give that 1 minute. So
that's the number.
All right, let's
the
see.
two closest to 64.
All right, so we have Mr. Peterson at 59.
All right.
And then the other one closest to 64 is, Nayad at 50.
All right. Okay.
Can we, and I guess Nayad has a question though.
Yes. Yes.
So we're actually going to give Peterson's away. So the other one that's closest is Antonica.
Why are we giving Peterson?
Well, no, it's not Antonica. Excuse me. It's Natalie Philippe.
Natalie.
Yes, Natalie Philippe.
And why are we giving Peterson's away?
He's not a big coffee drinker, so.
Oh, wow.
I know they have other things,
They have
but
tea, brother. Yeah.
it's fine.
Okay.
But Peterson's on the staff, and so more than likely I'll probably end up taking the staff there at some point. So it's
Okay.
cool.
All right. So Natalie and Nayed.
Natalie and Nayed, yes.
Okay, wonderful. So Natalie and Nayed, click on my information, because the only way you're gonna get is you're gonna have to reach out to me. Okay. And I want to get that. And what we'll do is I'll make arrangements for you to go by, and you have a $25 gift certificate to buy. And they have more than just coffee. They have more than just coffee there. So that will be
It's
the
fun
way-
latte art. I will tell you, typically the latte artist is there on a Friday.
Yeah.
But most of the baristas are latte artists and they take it seriously. But there was one last question, sorry.
Yes.
Yes, and Natalie, you're welcome. Congratulations. So Nayed says if somebody is interested in tech-based from the 4 fields you mentioned, which was climate tech, property tech, health tech, and then the EV, based
No,
on their
not those fields. What cybersecurity, Salesforce, which I don't remember the rest.
Cybersecurity,
Yes.
Salesforce,
So if you
AWS.
pivot your yes,
sorry.
which one would you choose based on your previous background and skills? How do you know?
I'm sorry.
I mean,
say-
it depends, right?
Yeah,
So
say it- I'm
she's
sorry, say it
just saying
again.
like which ones, which would you choose based on your various skills and your background? So like they all kind of maybe have transferable depending on what you're doing. So like Salesforce, you could be coming from relatively anywhere, jumping into the Salesforce ecosystem. And then there were some others that you had mentioned, but
Yeah, I think it's a good question. Here's what I would say. If you remember, this screen, that screen lists where there are more entry-level jobs, right? So if you're thinking about getting a job in the entry-level job in the digital space, it's important to go to where people are hiring. And so software engineers, there are more opportunities, I would think, in software engineers, but I think it's a little bit more effort to do that. Cybersecurity, that's the one. Right now, cybersecurity is truly cybersecurity, network security. There is just some huge opportunities there. Data analysts will continue to grow because, again, with the AI thing, there's opportunities that's going to really, just explode with there. Salesforce falls into the low code, no code. So you have companies like Pega, you have companies like Salesforce, you have companies like ServiceNow. Those are all called no code, low code. But the first thing is just really to start. You can do an initial, because to the point that was made was that you want to find out what's best for you, where you have your natural tendencies. So I would say at least start them. But what we can do is start with me. I can give you more conversations around this and really, get an idea around, hey, what is it that interest may be? Because that's what I try to do with Be Civilized Solutions, provide some of that guidance. But I think in any of these areas that they're all really good. It's just a matter of what companies are hiring, because you can be trained on a certain thing, but if there is no one out there hiring it, then that may be a problem. So remember what I mentioned about Salesforce. They had like 40,000 people roughly. I think they went and hired like 80. They had started laying off. So there are companies, so there's sometimes you may find that some organizations, some areas may be saturated in terms of talent. So for example, if someone says, okay, I want to be a Salesforce admin, I would say, no, that's pretty saturated. Maybe be a Salesforce developer. There may be more opportunity for that. But we can certainly talk about it. I can provide more guidance for you if you need. Fair?
Fair.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. This
Okay.
has been a very fruitful conversation, and I hope everyone has really thoroughly enjoyed their time. So I do have to provide a little bit of a plug onto what's going on here at the chamber. So Kevin, once again, thank you so much. As you can tell, our stopping time was 9:30, but everybody's incredibly engaged and was curious, and I knew that this would happen. So thank you once again for providing us with such amazing knowledge. And I did drop Kevin's link in the chat, so you can click on that if for some reason you're unable to get the QR code. So for upcoming events, I don't know if Peterson is available and ready to do that right now to let people know what we've got going on, because we've got quite a bit going on. Oh, we were waiting for the microphone, but I can start a little bit while you get that powered up, just for the sake of time. So on December 5th, well, that's showing right now. That's our brunch on December 10th. But on December 5th, we have a meet and greet at the North Miami Library with our new North Miami Police Chief, Chief Goss. And so I'd like for you all to come and stop by. The event is free. It's from 6 to 8 at the North Miami Library. And then on December 6th, we have our open series through our wonderful Scale Up 305 program. And during that open series, we're talking about demystifying ChatGPT. So as we talked about, there's a lot of AI, and the conversations are heavy around that, and how you can go from novice to someone who is well-versed in creating conversation with the ChatGPT robot. So don't miss that. That's in the evening as well, but that's on Zoom at 6 o'clock. And if you're not a part of our newsletter or you haven't seen it on social media, please reach out to us. Our email is info@haccof.com. And then on December 10th, we have our 3rd annual membership appreciation brunch that's happening at the Aventura Mall, level 3, as you can see here on the image on the screen. So it's the time for us to just get together so that we can celebrate all that we've accomplished this year. It has been quite the busy year for us here at Hackoff. And so we just raise a glass and fellowship with one another to hopefully say, hey, here's how we're going to jump into 2024. And then speaking of 2024, we have an event on January 1st. So on January 1st, it'll be the 220th anniversary of Haitian independence. And so we have the 5th annual Soup and Champagne. We're partnering up with Jones Pierre, also known as the Haitian Pooh Bear, where we will have an all-white affair at the Oasis in Wynwood, and it's supposed to be a really amazing time. Obviously, if you look at our social media, you can see the photos. Doors open at 7, and so from 7 to 9, there will be complimentary champagne and soup jumu for all those in the room who, I mean, there's some of us who aren't Haitian in the room right now who haven't had soup jumu. You should really try it. It's amazing. And so if there are any questions or if you're curious about our members, before I even go there. So speaking of Scale Up 305, we have our first cohort of 2024. And so we do provide some fundamental training, coaching, etc. in the following areas, as you can see on the screen. And the application deadline is January 11th. And so our lovely team member, Nayad, who asked some amazing questions, she's the operations manager at Scale Up 305. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll make sure that you get connected, get your application in. It's really amazing, an amazing program. And we've had our first pitch competition, and we plan on doing a ton more to support our businesses. And then last but not least, if you're curious about our memberships here at the Chamber, and maybe you want to be re-engaged, or you have some important information that you'd like to share with us, please do so. As I said, our main email line is info@haccof.com, HACCOF.com. Thank you all so much for your engagement and your time, and I hope you all have an amazing Friday, an amazing weekend, and happy Thanksgiving if you do celebrate. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Take care.